Anyway, they were doing the story of Amanda Knox. Do you remember her? I barely knew her name. I don't really follow like tabloid news. But I was like, Amanda Knox, I know that one. Let's listen. So here's the deal. This chick, she's young. I don't know how young. Call her 17 to 19, something like that. And she's in Italy, but she's American. So her Italian is terrible. And she has a roommate that she's friends with, but not super close with. Her roommate had another group of friends that she was even more close with than she was to Amanda Knox. And her roommate, let's tell it this way. So Amanda comes home, and I guess the door is open when it shouldn't be. And someone didn't flush the toilet, which is not common, right? These girls always flush their own toilet. And she left. So Amanda Knox gets her boyfriend to come back, and for whatever reason, the police just show up. It turns out the police were part of like an electronics crime unit, and they found her roommate's phones. She had 2 phones, and they were returning those phones to her roommate. So it's Amanda Knox, her boyfriend Raphael, and the 2 cops are there. And they're like, "Oh, police, this is terrific. This place is sketch. I'm glad you're here. There's poop in the toilet. That's weird. The door's open. That's weird. And her roommate's door is locked. This door, her roommate would lock the door for like 2 minutes while getting changed. But mostly she wasn't a door locker. It was weird that her bedroom door would be locked. And the police are like, we can't knock down this door. It's against our procedure, etc. And they look around. Boyfriend's like Captain Hercules over there, and they're like, "Dude, kick down this door." Right? You're not a cop. You're just a guy. Your girlfriend's asking you to kick the door down. He does, and he kicks the door down. Everyone starts screaming. Right? And Amanda, her Italian is bad. She's not processing these Italian screams and everything. Something about a foot that she doesn't know. Her roommate is dead in there, murdered. And they saw part of her body, I think, under the bed, but I'm not sure about that. So then the Italian police get in their head that Amanda Knox is an absolute sex fiend, and that she and her boyfriend had done some sort of like murder, rape, orgy thing, and they killed her roommate, possibly because she wasn't slutty enough. And the police run with this theory. Some evidence comes in, like finally a few weeks later, the DNA evidence comes in, and her roommate had been fingered by someone who is not Amanda or her boyfriend. There's another guy. They find out his name is Rudy. So Rudy was I feel like it's racist to say, an immigrant. I don't know what he was, but he was an immigrant. He had no job, and he had a record of doing some sort of bad. He had been in prison before. And he's the one who left DNA inside her roommate's vagina. Now, it wasn't semen, mind you. It was finger or something. And the police, though, they don't let Amanda Knox off the hook. They still think that she's behind this thing. You know how in America, how many days can they hold you? Is it 2 or something? And then you have this right to a speedy trial. Like they have to acquit you, and then the whole bail thing can happen. But they can't just lock you up. In Italy, it's not 2 days; it's 4 years.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
Mamma mia! That is.
They can hold you for
crazy.
4 years while they like get their case together and get ready to charge you.
Jeez.
And they're like interviewing her harshly, this interrogation, and they kept telling her that she needs to remember that she did this. She needs to remember how there was this big like sex thing, and the tabloids are running with it like crazy. She's nicknamed Foxy Knoxy. And,
God.
Yeah.
Idiots.
And she's just this like naive girl who doesn't understand what's happening. She doesn't have an attorney for the longest time. At one moment, she remembered, right? This for a like they gaslighted her into thinking that it was true. And she's low on sleep. They're just going at her. And she's like, yeah, I guess we did that. And she just wanted to please the interrogators. She's young. She's not even getting all of this. She, there were some weird things like that. I guess she had a coworker who was sick, and the boss said, we need you to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's doing this by text. And then the boss says, never mind, we don't need you. And she's like, okay, see you later. In America, that means goodbye, right? Goodbye until next time. The Italians saw this as plans to meet up and, like do this whole sex murder thing because she said, see you later to her boss. All these things are getting twisted. She doesn't speak the language well enough to present her case. And it was years later before she was not just found not guilty. I guess you could be found innocent in Italy. And they also chastised the prosecutors on how to deal with this thing.
So how long was she in jail?
Between 2 and 3 years, I think.
One of these days they'll get her. Don't worry.
She made out like a bandit. So did they find out who did it or no?
It was that dude. So
same fingering dude?
He claimed that the two were sort of like going to be romantic. Zach says 4 years. Okay. He claimed that the roommate and Rudy, this is the immigrant murderer dude, were going to be romantic. They didn't have a condom, and then they decided to stop there and go get one or something. He went to the bathroom. While he was in the bathroom, another guy came in, murdered her, and left. And he hid the whole
Don't you
time.
hate when that happens?
It's so stressful.
Yeah.
I wish times like that. You wish you had some tigers.
I forget that. Aside from that story being unlikely and unbelievable, they had some evidence that proved that wasn't the case. I think maybe Rudy's. Oh, and then he why are your fingerprints all over and the blood, and why are your shoes in the blood and this and that? And he's like, well, I was trying to help her after she got murdered, and that's why my hands are all over her, looking like I was the murderer.
Yeah.
Was it his dump in the bowl?
Oh
yeah, it was. They tested that too.
They'd be remiss not
Apparently,
to.
that's not that uncommon. For murderers to get super nervous and use the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You never think about murderers in that context, that they're really anxious about it. You always think they're so excited to do it, they can't wait.
Yeah, Amanda Knox has her own crime podcast now, and she has a different spin on these crimes. And I haven't heard it yet. I just heard her talk about it. But it was so most people, when they go through these crimes, they have these angelic victims and evil doers, and they tell the story of how their paths crossed and how awful that was. When she looks at it, she sees the victims as sometimes not so angelic, and perhaps fully fleshed out people who were in a bad spot because of some bad decisions, and they see the murderers, the evildoers, as maybe things got out of control and this wasn't his first choice on how this went down either. And I'm like, that does sound like an interesting take on these crimes, and one that perhaps someone who was tied up in one would have. So,
but it's every case she just sees as the criminal is innocent. It's so blatant, but she's like, I don't know.
Right. So this mom, she put the kids in the SUV and rolled the SUV into the lake. But the kids were kind of assholes all along.
How loud they could be. And little
this one's 3.
I remember the lady who did that.
I made
that was a long time ago. The lady buckled her kids into the car seat.
Susan Smith or was it Susan Smith or the other one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know there were two. There was one that drowned the kids in the bathtub, and then the other one drowned them in the
Susan Smith.
Yeah. It was got Susan Smith.
Good recall. Yeah. 43
was it her?
was convicted in 1995 of murdering 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alex by strapping them into their car seats and letting her car roll into a lake in the mill town of Union.
I want to see Amanda Knox's take on it. You got 3-year-old still not potty trained. Who among us would not have strapped him into an SUV and rolled him into the lake?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that would be really funny if her crime podcast is who's to say if Jonah Stevenson actually murdered these people? And it's we have his confession on tape. He admitted in it. He reveled in it, and he seemed to have get a lot of sexual pleasure from it. Here's the video. But that, this could be like the Italian police. This could be a deep fake. It's like, no, as he's doing it, he's screaming, "This is not a deep fake. I'm doing this." Don't trust Amanda Knox and her nonsense.
As you can see, he's ejaculating.
No, he looks like a lock and load.
That's electrorectal forced ejaculation. That's a technique used by the Italian police.
That's an old lighting trick. That's fooled you though. I've never listened to a true crime podcast. I know there's a million of them, but that could be interesting.
My wife watches them on TV. Like she's probably watching one. I would bet $1,000 she's downstairs watching some sort of crime, dangerous women.
Does she like it because it's spooky?
No, I don't think that's it. I think it's fascinating.
They're pretty interesting shows.
She's worn out. She's used up the good ones, so now she's on to like the C tier of crime shows.
Yeah,
and they're cheesy and lame, and they'll take a story that should be told in one episode and they break it down to 8. And so it just drags on, and they take you down rabbit holes that you didn't need to go down.
Yeah, a lot of the shows are like that. Like Forensic Files is really good. I like watching that, especially it's on in every hotel room. So if you're ever staying in a hotel, it's the easiest thing. And they marathon the shit out of it at night. So it's cool to put on.